Okay, back again. In the meantime, I fixed up the issue with the viewports and scissor and blending not working. So let me just get back into. Actually, I'm just going to update something first. Hotline data PM build update. I updated PMFX shader up to 2.14. That can be used as an executable or as a Python library. And then I'm going to change back to using the executable version of it now. So it's not PMFX dev. Build everything now. Compiling the shaders, building code. So yeah, in between the last video and now, I was just quickly fixing up the shader pipeline and got the hot reloading working. So actually, this might be fun to check. So previously I was trying to use the viewport. This just wasn't actually hooked up. So if we do something like, let's make the viewport size 0.5. This is all of a ratio of the actual render target size. So there we go. So use different size viewports, horribly stretched. And can also add a scissor which starts in the corner. Let's just do something a bit more interesting. There, so scissoring in to the middle of the screen. So that's quite handy. And then the other thing that wasn't working before was the blend state. So blend state, what was I trying to do? I was trying to change additive to disable it. Now it's disabled. This column is the blend state. I need to do a little bit more work, maybe add some different tests. But basically each column is a different blend mode. This one's alpha blended. This one should be additive. I think this one's disabled, and these ones are reverse subtract. They should actually be different colors if they were forward blended. So they're good enough to just test. Basically, they're the major ones. I'll get to adding like making sure alpha's coverage and things like that are working. But now back to the C buffer material. So this is where I was up to. Bare texture, got the bare texture working. So he's upside down. I think the first thing to do, well, that could actually be my UVs. Up until now, I've actually not mapped any UVs onto textures onto anything. I just generated UVs. So it could be to do with sampling the texture, or so the first thing I'm going to do is put a sampler on, and the samplers go on a pipeline. Bring that down a bit. So this one's in. See. Debug PMFX, and in here it was material, mesh push constant material. Just gonna go to GitHub to, oh no, not to there, to the official documentation of PMFX shader to use as a reference. PMFX v2. So in here, there's the sampler states. Everything you can specify in here has useful defaults, so it kind of really speeds up filling out like render state and that kind of thing. I believe they're called static samplers, and they can be supplied. So I can create sampler states, and then as part of a pipeline has static samplers, and then a static sampler references one. So sampler states of yet, I don't have any. I might have a reference one that I can just copy quickly. Here we go, wrap linear, pipeline, static samplers, and then you reference the sampler's name in the shader. So this one, I should really move this. This is HLSL code, but it's syntax highlighting it as something else, so it looks pretty weird. So we have sampler S0, and it's on register S0. So debug PMFX. I'm actually going to put this inside hotline, because this is kind of hotlines, you know, everything can share it. And wrap linear, it's going to be a common one. I'm also going to add clamp linear while I'm here. Wrap linear, clamp linear, complete debug PMFX. So on the mesh push constant material, we want a static samplers, and then we put in the name, but we need to put a sampler in the shader. I think there can be an array of them, of static samplers. Key value object of static samplers. I feel like that actually should be an array, which might be incorrect, because it could be bindless and you might have more than one. I believe on a I have to check the Rust code, but I think I'll be able to get a single sampler working, and then I'll see about extending that. So we've got textures, sampler state, because I think these could be an array of samplers. I'll just call it sampler. No, you can't call it sampler. Samplers. We already have texture coordinates, so that actually simplifies things a lot, figuring out. And I always forget the way to do this. Texture dot sample, and then we sample with samplers, which is later going to become an array, and then we're just passing in text code. I'm going to multiply albedo by alpha, like pre-multiplied alpha. Right, that crashed. It's panicking, unwrapping. Okay, samplers cannot be mixed with other resources types in a descriptor table. Root parameter 2. So it's putting this on the same root parameter as the textures. Not quite sure why. Just gonna go close others. Sometimes it gets a bit messy. So I want to look at the output. Target data shaders debug JSON bindings. Okay, so they're both on register 0 and register space 0. One's a set of samplers. Which actually means the textures now have been shifted onto onto slot 3, I believe. So set render heap. Let's see if that's does the trick. Of course it didn't. Now it hasn't even got a useful message. So I need to run into debug. Capacity overflow. Maybe. Oh, hold on. Let me check the output. Num descriptors is null. So I think I know that I want to say, let's make these a fixed size. There's only going to be one in there at the moment. That's fine. Sample is 0.sample. Of course, it crashes again. Debug mode. Right, GPU validation. Debug console's got critical error. Has it content material? Just printing this out. Critical error. I can't see the error. So it's trying to put it into a trying to put the error into a way where we can feed it back to the user in the client, but it's crashing in a way that I can't even get there first. So this is going to just say critical error detected or something, isn't it? I've often had an issue with this particular place. Basically, it's trying to handle the error and gracefully continue, but then it crashes. And prevents me from continuing with critical error detected from Direct3D. So I think sometimes I've been losing error messages. Okay, yeah, that's it. So we've got that. So samplers cannot be mixed with other types of resources in a descriptor table root parameter to at least the debugged messages are very useful. So the register space in that the horrendous bindless shader. Okay, now it looks better. So we're on sampler S0. We have register. I know what we might do. I need to add it in here. I've not put the thing static samplers. I started doing it and then so it's called static samplers. Yeah, this definitely could be an array. What did I call it? I called it samplers. No, it's an object. Wrap linear. And that's what it is called. And I hadn't even thought about. So I believe that now this will be put somewhat different into the output. What the output? Bindings. Shader register 0. Fragment shader visible. This is the textures. Then we have push constants, and then the static samplers go in there. And that's an array of static samplers. Still crashing. Now there might be some additional info from the Direct3D validation layer. Here we go. Ah, that's fine. So this one I changed it. It is actually 2. Run again. Check the old debug console. Debug output. Okay, brilliant. So that's working now with the sampler. but he's upside down. So that could be really just the UVs in general should be flipped, I think. Can we just do so now? This would be interesting actually. Like I said just earlier, I hadn't yet put textures onto the primitives. So let's go back to the primitives. Back to the primitives, if you like. Was it Soulfly? It was Soulfly or Sepultura. Back to the primitive. I can't remember which file it was in. Draw.rs. Right. So a bunch of spheres here. I could create some other primitives, like create a cube mesh. Any parameters. Debug console. Ah, right. Okay, so this is the problem. I can't hot reload if I'm in debug. That would be a nice thing to do, or to be able to do. So at some point, I'll look into that. Okay. Oh well. So here's the UVs there. The cube don't look right either. The cylinder mesh. See how that comes out. So all of the UVs are messed up, really. Ah, I know what it is. The texture core is being scaled and absolute. Okay, right. So the cube looks upside down and sideways. Gonna have to sort this out for normal maps and stuff like that, and the tangents and everything to get them orientated correctly. But that's decent progress actually for a short amount of time. Texture. So I suppose now I could actually try and load another texture, get that to load, or change the texture. That was also a problem earlier. There's original textures that I was trying to use were kind of messed up. Metal Grid 2. Oh, I can try that actually. Normal map. It might make a bit more sense with a proper sampler now. We'll be able to diagnose the problem. Huh. That's weird. I'm not even assigning. Oh, I wasn't even assigning the value from the texture sample. So that looks better now. More wrapping and mirroring. But still, the sphere, I don't think it needs to, the UVs don't need to wrap so much when it comes, well actually maybe it is alright if they're tiling textures that are going to apply to the UVs. But I could try, for example, now sampling the texture indices.y, and that is, so it does look kind of correct, like how it's supposed to. A bit more like a material, a wrapping material. Still a little bit wonky. What did it just bump that? Clear mesh. Just bump this to 32. Oh, it's a bunch of them, so I don't know which one it is. To give it more precision in the UVs. Yeah, that's loads better. Like the 16 to 32 makes a huge difference. If I just go into 64, maybe. Put them in kind of all the spheres together, and then cylinders. 16 segments is a little bit conservative, probably. Right, so now I've got this lovely kind of moire pattern just naturally happening. That's going to be my code that I was doing earlier. That was to insert the extra alpha channel. So the stride or something in the image loading code is wrong. If I take a little look at the image loading, see if I can spot anything and fix it. This won't hot reload because it's in the core lib, so sometimes it happens. My dest size is x times y times 4 bytes per pixel. My linear size, I times y times components. Don't think that's right. I think it's these coordinates. So I times y source pitch. So pitch is comp, and this can come outside of the loop. So yeah, this is what it is. This needs to be times pitch. So source pitch times comp times width of the image, which is x, and then dest pitch is 4 times x. Oh, okay, 4 times x, and then we do I times source pitch. Oh no, I was doing that. Oh no, it was wrong. I was timesing it by the wrong coordinate. So I times source pitch plus j times components, and then I times dest pitch plus j times 4. Gonna have to just restart this whole thing. Now, again, takes a little while. It's building client and the plugins. Still looks wrong. Kidding me. Source linear I times source pitch plus j times comp times dest pitch j times comp. Well, I was going to fix it, you know. Okay. So at this point, that's often just sit and think for a while. X is the width of the image. And we do have pitch. J I times pitch plus J times offset. That is correct. These both succeeded. Nope. Had all built. Right, so data out. Let's do something simple. Instead of doing the image, I'm just going to try and write dereferencing that. I'm just going to try and write white. I feel like it's writing red, green, blue. For each pixel, all red, all green, all blue, or all instead of combining them together. Data out, we might be striding with evacuate. So K. Oh, it had ran. Right, no, that's correct. That's come out as white. Oh, well, it will write everything. So now I'm going to do if K sum 2. So I'm only going to write R and G. This workload becomes a bit tedious actually if I'm having to constantly build a client. When I first got the hot reloading working, this kind of process was necessary a lot more as I found problems. So R, oh sorry, yeah, I skipped the G and B. That's fine. So this looks like my source linear. The source linear is wrong. Ah, hold on. The data might have already worked. So what it's telling us is it's already done this for us. And maybe I should have read the docs. But it's saying it was a 3 component. We requested RGB A for RGB A. So I've requested 4 components. What are you doing, mate? There. Errors, right. No. God. Yeah, I'm just commenting it out. Is it got nested? Fuck off then. So it could have just been something as simple as this. Instead of using the components to calculate the size, I know. I want 4. Right, that's noisy, but that is the normal map. Cool. Right, so that's the normal map. Obviously, mip maps are going to be essential. That's one thing I need to generate. I've got a texture tool. Well, it's not mine, but I've got one I've been using that I can easily integrate. That's just the raw texture coordinates. Well, so now this looks all right. So the idea would be you'd have, I think it is important to get the UVs the right way round, so things are not upside down and things like that. But these now look correct. So I could do also, just as a quick test, in the plugin, easiest demos, draw, get that metal grid albedo back. Also, that improves the performance considerably. That was silly of me. I should have checked. It has an alt tab as well in GUI. Debug HLSL. And then if I'm swapping between raw text quad, there we go. Okay, cool, that's pretty good. So that was adding samplers and now fixing the texture loading. Correcting those UVs might be a bit of work in the geometry. Might be better to get it like a test UV texture just to make sure it's orientated the correct way. It comes a bit weird with like a cube. You'd expect this to be, you know, wires up around here, but then on the top face, I think you would think if Z is forward, then Y is up. So I think I can fiddle around with those, sort out the UVs on most of the geometry, and that'll be my next tasks. So put those onto the to-do list, and then they're there for another time. Material, transform normals, construct tangent space. So the next thing after, now the material's sort of working, that's actually push constants material. I did want to make a C buffer. This is called C buffer material. It should actually be called push constant material. That's a little bit flaky. Push constants. C buffer material. I think potentially a C buffer camera as well. And then the push constants can be just small things. Because of those limitations with the amount of push constants is quite constrained. See buffer camera. See buffer material. And then these things probably would come next. Material kind of, yeah, that's in progress. Then after this would be getting into there's executing direct. I wanted to start taking a look at, and then also lighting, basically lighting, shadows, and bringing across more shaders. By that point, hopefully the sort of the general consensus of how the material system, entities, and draw calls should be made should be a bit clearer. I think, you know, ideally it'll probably be executing direct in the long run. I'm just doing these tests, so they're examples, and so the graphics API works for any combination of things you want to do. Building this ECS as a plugin is like, this is a plugin and this is the way it works, but the low-level GFX API, people could come along and use that in any way they choose fit. So, for example, my older engine in C++, I didn't have push constants. I just didn't use them, and yeah, they're quite handy to have. And I'm talking about now maybe not using them or using them very sparingly, but just having tests and making sure to use them, and also hitting the limits with them is good to build a kind of idea of what's going to be best practice. So I reckon I'm going to leave it there. That's been pretty good progress. I'm happy with this. Textures, and I can change them in the shader by the index cast. Look at that aliasing, lovely.